These are the voyages of Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to Retrek. I'm Captain Jim, and with me, of course, is Admiral Elliot.
Hi there.
And this week, we're talking about episode 3 of Discovery's 4th season. This one's called Choose to Live. And not surprisingly, we get the Coat Malat back in this one. Though, weirdly, I didn't make that connection until I actually watched the episode. Like, I saw what the title, but I didn't think, oh, that's the motto of the Coat Malat. But anyway.
Yeah, they're definitely referencing quite a lot of the own canon, aren't they, here with Picard?
Yeah, well, what's his name? Kurtzman said that he thinks a big crossover's inevitable at some point now. They've not put a date on it or anything like that, but they've said that it's probably going to happen at some point.
It makes sense, doesn't it, when you've got... It's all the same franchise. I know 2 of the shows are animated, but we've got a 3rd live action starting some point next year. It's silly not to. Like, we know very well how many time travel episodes Star Trek has done.
Exactly, yeah. But what would you need to do? You'd need like a 3-way time travel, wouldn't you? So you'd need to get Pike. And
I still want to see Lower Decks being done by live actions to get. I reckon they could get the Lower Decks actors to do into the crossover somehow.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see that. And you never know, we might do. But anyway, let's look at this episode. So we start off with a brand new funky ship, and it's not just Discovery doing the dilithium deliveries. We find out other ships are doing it as well.
Yeah, like, I wonder if it's got a spore drive, because they were trying to roll out spore drives, weren't they, to everyone?
Maybe so, or maybe it's just like it can only do local.
Yeah, you do local, I'll do local runs, you do distance.
Yeah, it's kind of like your Deliveroo drivers on the little push bikes. Like, you only do so far, but I like the look of this ship. Like, it reminded me a little bit of the Oberth class. Like, so like it's got a big body bit below the thing, and then it's got the nacelles kind of up at the. But obviously, like, it kind of looked like the Oberth class, but put through the future Discovery mixer.
Yeah.
To give us like a version.
Yeah, like, in a way, I know that we have a classic design of how Star Trek ships look, but wouldn't it have been nice if they'd done something different instead of a saucer hole and the cells for the ships 1,000 years in the future?
Yeah, I mean, some of them are, though. If you look like that USS Nog, that's like almost like a pyramid-y.
Yeah, true.
But it's one of them where you can't win. And like, if you did do it, people would go.
If they did do it, I'd go, oh, they don't look like Federation Star Trek ships.
I want my saucer. I want my you know. But the commander on this ship's a bit handy. Like, straight away, he's like, right, we've got borders. Here we are. And he doesn't have to get stuck in straight away on these Coat Malat. He's like, boom.
Now, in a way, this didn't surprise me because the Federation's been in a war situation for 70 or 80 years.
True.
So I think, like, a lot of the officers will be more combat trained than what we saw in Next Generation.
Yeah, maybe that's it. But yeah, I was just quite surprised with how quick he was to get stuck in, and he half going for it. But yeah, so the Coat Malat are back then. And this is going to be like the main thrust of the episode. And we get a fair bit more about Ni'Var as well. Like, we find out, we know they're working with the Federation, and we know they're not members yet, but this president seems to be making it very clear that they're expecting.
Yeah, well, I think it probably goes back to, like, the original Federation. I know Ni'Var is the Vulcans and Romulans, but the planet is still Vulcan, and it's a founding member of the Federation.
Yeah.
It's a big deal them not being in it, and it'd be a big deal getting them back in it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And this does seem to be the season of let's bring the Federation back together.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's good to know that they're getting there with Ni'Var now. And obviously this leads to Michael's mum makes a return, and they're going to try and track down this rogue Coat-Malat. And the president of the Federation makes it a joint mission.
Now, I don't know if you noticed here, but they have it, because this goes back to last episode when Buck just walked into the middle of the meeting.
Yeah.
This meeting, it's got a barrier. It's got a security shield.
I didn't notice that.
So why didn't they have that last week?
Or maybe someone said, like, somebody's had a word and said, look, we had someone just wandering in last week. We need to start a bit more serious now. So, yeah, we could say it's a continuity error that they didn't have one last week, or we could say good continuity, that they've identified a problem and they've acted
and they fixed it
really quickly, got it sorted.
Yeah, I noticed it, that because the barrier, they were able to walk back out of it. It didn't actually drop the shield. They could pass through it. So I'm assuming it recognises who's permitted.
Yeah, either that or maybe it's one of them, like, you can walk out of it, but you can't walk back in, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's like them, you can get them cat flaps, can't you, where they're locked, but your cat's got a little microchip in its collar, so it lets itself out. Maybe it's a bit like that. I don't know. The president, though, says that Michael's got her full confidence with this, which I think that's really good, because they had that sort of confrontation in the first episode. And the president wasn't saying that she thinks Michael's a crap captain. She was just like, you're not right for this mission.
You're not right for the mission of taking over Voyager.
Yeah, but you're still a good captain. And it's good to see that reinforced here.
Yeah.
And also that she's like really clear with her. Like, she's like, okay, it is a joint thing, but you're in charge of it. It's still a federation. I mean, how much Michael is in charge might deteriorate a bit as the episode goes on, but at least the intention is that
it's a Federation mission.
And I really like some of the stuff they've got that the president's talking about. Like, she's basically saying, this anomaly, this situation, we can leverage this for political gain effectively. We can leverage the fact that we're all going to have to work together to improve our chances of getting people to join the Federation. And I wondered if this is a bit of a commentary on the way certain politicians over the last year or so have used the COVID situation as a way to sort of reinforce where they stand and used it as a means to shore up their votes. I mean, you know, not to name names particularly, but we have a prime minister in this country who, whenever his less than adequate behaviour is called out, the first thing he ever says is, well, the vaccine rollout's going really well.
Yeah, and you have a lot of American senators who are running, and governors who are running red states, which are the Republican states. Mm. And because they've got like a load of nutters in the Republican Party that don't believe in vaccines and all that, they're, for political reasons, not enforcing vaccine mandates.
Yeah.
And not pushing people to wear masks. And
I just wonder if this is a little bit of a commentary on that. Like,
you use disasters for political gain.
Yeah. And hopefully the president's got better outcomes in mind than the scenarios we've just described. But the idea of using it as a bigger thing, I just wonder if it's a little bit of their commentary. And we carry on a little bit then with the story of Tilly that we sort of started up last week. And I think we were onto something last week. So we were talking about, well, is it going to be that maybe she thinks she's not cut out for it? And is she going to be thinking about a different career path or different life choices? And I think this episode, that comes across much stronger, that might be where her mind's going at the minute.
Yeah, she's in a comfort zone, but she's not happy in a comfort zone. And
yeah, and I mean, they mine it for a bit of comedic effect, don't they? Like, we find out she don't like cheese, which is a bit of a shocker. I mean,
yeah, who doesn't like cheese?
Exactly, who don't like cheese? What do you do for pizza?
What was it? I was watching. I watched MasterChef and that, and like they had the challenge to do a dish out of cheese, and one of them's there. Yeah, I'm cheese intolerant. I'm lactose intolerant, but I still like cheese. I thought I suffer.
Yeah, I know a few people who are lactose intolerant, but they're like, "Yep, I'm going to have a pizza, and I'm just going to take the hit."
I'll take the hit.
But yeah, so Tilly, there we go. Doesn't like cheese. She tries the mac and cheese. She don't like the mac and cheese. It looked a good mac and cheese, though.
It did look a good mac and cheese.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that if I ordered that at a restaurant. But then it should be from a replicator. Like, there's no.
Yeah, it should have the best mac and cheese programmed in.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it shouldn't be palming you up. Maybe the people on the lower decks get like a packet mashing.
Well, I like to think that by now that they've managed to have all the replicators the same.
Well, we know that they've not on. Oh, yeah, this is 900 years later, so maybe everybody can have a full.
Like we know on when the workers on Mars, that they had shitty replicators that only had tin trays.
That's true.
And we know that lower decks doesn't have as good a menu programmed as the officers.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, maybe we've moved on to that, and everyone can have good mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Even though Tilly doesn't like it. So and she's gonna water Saru's plants as well. That's the next thing that she's going to do to get her out of her comfort zone. And obviously, Saru's going to throw a bit of a curveball at her and send her on something else that's out of her comfort zone before she gets to the plan. But they're setting it up. Stamets' theory of the week then, and I wonder if this is going to be a running thing. So, binary black hole is out.
Yeah, so he thinks it's a dark matter anomaly, a DMA.
Well, he's calling it the dark matter anomaly, but he thinks it's a primordial wormhole.
Yeah.
So that's the theory this week. So we'll keep track of these. We'll see what Stamets' theory next week is. But this week, he thinks it's a wormhole. Spoilers, it's not.
It's not.
So he's...
Because this is like the second story arc, and there's actually an A, B, and a C story arc here. And then there's the little bits with Tilly as well.
Yeah, we've got loads going on in this episode, and I think it does a good job of balancing it all as well.
Yeah, the episode doesn't feel rushed at all.
No, it doesn't.
When you have a lot of different storylines going on, and we've mentioned this before, you get things that feel they've got from there to there too fast.
Yeah, but this one, I think it nudges everything along the right amount without trying to do too much, and it manages to get almost a standalone story in there as well. You know, the Michael's story is pretty much standalone, whereas everything else is ongoing. And Stamets then's going to go to Nivar, and Buck's going to go with him because these two seem to be a team at the minute. And it's nice that Stamets has got a bit of concern for him. Like, he's like, well, I'm going to have to talk in quite graphic detail about what happened to Quajon. So do you really want to...
Yeah.
For that? So it's nice.
To him. Like, that's part of Stamets' learning curve, because season one Stamets would have let him come along and then just started going on about it without a second thought. That it might be upsetting to him.
Yeah,
he just wouldn't have cared.
Yep, you're right. Then, the other story then is we're getting to the point now where we're actually putting Grey into the body.
Yeah, into the synthetic.
And I'm quite surprised with how quick we got to this point. Like, I know there's obviously going to be a lot more happens with it. This isn't the end of the story arc, but I thought when they set it up last season, it was going to take a bit longer to find a way of putting him into a body, but we've actually...
Yeah, well, I think as soon as we saw the synthetic last week, there was no need to drag it out any longer.
And I really like that when the Guardian's there, he says, "Oh, we're doing an unusual Jantara," and the Jantara was what Jadzia did in that episode where they split all the personalities. And this makes a load of sense because basically they're taking Grey's memories out of Adira and putting them into a new body, which is what you do in a Jantara. So I just really like that.
And like it's that thing that they don't just need Grey's permission; they needed is it Tal?
Tal's, and
they need Tal's permission as well to do it.
Yeah, that was good, and I like the fact that somebody's obviously done the homework, and instead of they could have just made up a new name for this and gone, "Oh, we're doing the whatever," but somebody's done the homework and gone, "We've actually already got a Trill thing that's exactly what we want to do." So we're going to reference that. We're
going to go with it, and it makes perfect sense.
And then Tilly's going to go on this mission then. So this Saru has a habit of promoting Tilly above a station, really, doesn't he? I mean, he made her the first officer.
Yeah, like the first officer didn't make any sense, and we said it at the time.
Yeah, it wasn't 100% successful. This one makes a lot more sense because he explains his reasoning. He's like, she needs to do things that are outside of her comfort zone. She'll be good on the diplomatic side of it, and we've already got enough combat people.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So it does make sense to put Tilly on it this time. And then she's chatting with the person who I'm just going to call the Coatmelat red shirt because they don't last very long.
Yeah.
But she likes the idea of absolute candor, which I quite like the idea of Tilly becoming not necessarily a Coatmelat, but...
Or you think that she might leave completely?
Maybe. But I quite like the idea of her just being really honest about things. Like if we just...
I think she is anyway.
I think she is, but I think you could get some real comedy if she took it to the extreme.
Yeah.
Then she'd be like season 1 Stamets, I suppose.
Maybe. But she's got that empathy about her, hasn't she? So she wouldn't say things hurtful, I don't think.
No, probably not. But I don't know where they're going with this, but maybe. Then, there's a nice sort of conversation with Gabriel and with Michael where she's saying, well, you had faith that Spock didn't do it, and I've got to have faith in this Giovanni. I mean, Giovanni did do it. We saw Giovanni do it right at the start of the episode, but it isn't a case of us saying, well, she didn't murder anyone. There must be a reason for it.
Yeah, there has to be a reason why she's done this.
Yeah. Which there kind of is when we get there, but it's still pretty naughty.
It's naughty, but the whole thing makes sense.
Yeah, her motivations from her perspective definitely do.
And she didn't want to kill anybody. It was the fact, like, she'd beaten the guy, and then he picked a sword up and came at her, and that's when she killed him. And
she did give him the warning. She said, choose to live, which we find out is part of a longer scene now, but okay. I like when they give the swords out. Tilly's well happy that she's getting the sword.
Like, I can't imagine Tilly being very good with a sword.
She does kind of okay, I think, when there's a bit of a fight scene, and she does okay at first, then she gets knocked over.
Yeah, like, I think this is one of those things in these TV fights. Like, I don't think Tilly would be very good with a sword, and I can't see where she's got the sword fighting experience from.
Well,
and she's going up against experienced sword fighters.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like Starfleet, yeah, they would be trained with phasers, but what you wouldn't train them with swords. You don't.
Yeah, and we've also spoken about, like, she was on Discovery as an ensign, and she was there as a scientist.
Yeah.
She was there for her science abilities, not for her abilities as being a Starfleet officer.
Well, in this case, then, we've got to give it to Tilly that she manages not to get killed.
Yeah.
Given that she's not got any experience. I mean, Michael, we don't know specifically got sword experience, but we know she's trained in like Vulcan martial arts and stuff like that. And
so
they fight with all sorts of weapons. So yeah, she does all right. But of course, the Coat Malat red shirt gets killed, so we're down to just the characters that we know now.
It makes it easier, doesn't it?
It does make it easy.
It's very much a throwback to traditional Trek, in it, where
yeah.
we'll have a massive landing party, but we're only going to concentrate on our main characters. So, red shirt, red shirt, red shirt.
Yeah, and then Captain Kirk, Scotty, and Sulu or whatever. But yeah, that's what we do. We get rid of the Coat Malat, and we're down to just as 3 main characters that we know, so that's fine. And then we get to the moon. And it's a really cool, the set. I presume it's augmented with CGI, the set, but it looks really...
Yeah, it did look really good. It's... I think at times in the past, Discovery's tried too hard with the effects and have not looked great because of it. Some of them.
Yeah.
Or there's been too much going on. But it's very simple. It's a ship landing on a moon, but it's a brilliant bit of CGI. It looks right.
Yeah. And the moon itself and that big room with all the cocoons and everything, it reminds me a little bit of Alien or Prometheus, where they'd go in and they'd see it all. But yeah, I thought that was really, really impressive. And they work out there's a civilization there, and Gabriel thinks that it's, she's giving it all well. It must have been for a lost cause. Michael's not convinced of it. And then we get almost a Star Wars line where it's like, this is no moon. This is a ship. And then they go, right, where's the dilithium? And, it's above us. And they're like, right, everybody look around for a way to get up there. And Michael finds what she calls the turbolift. Why don't you use your personal transporters?
Yeah, they're beaming wherever they want.
And I said this, I think, back in season 3. I said that this is the only sort of problem I anticipated with introducing the personal transporters, is that when you get situations like this, you're always going to have the question, well, why didn't you just use your transport?
Yeah, why didn't you just beam up?
It's one of them, you get it in all, you don't just get it in science fiction. Like a lot of modern drama, they have to go out of the way to explain why characters can't just make a phone call to get them out of a situation.
Yeah.
We've got mobile phones.
Now, everyone lives on the mobile phone.
Yeah, like somebody gets lost. Well, just bring up your Google Maps app and turn on your GPS and you know exactly where you are. So we've always got to jump through these hoops of going, there's no signal in this area. But we don't even do that with the personal transporters here. And to the extent that, because like me sort of nitpicking brain kicked in and I tried to think of like an excuse for it, and I'm going, maybe there's interference and they can't use them here and I can headcanon that and it'll be all right, but then they use them later on, so they don't get away with it. It's just my new headcanon is, they couldn't see up there, so there might have been big spikes or something.
They didn't know what they were going into.
Maybe, but then you probably shouldn't get on the turbo lift that you don't know what it's going to do. I mean, that could have just whacked up into the ceiling.
Well, I think you assume if you're getting on the turbo lift that it's going to a floor and it's going to stop.
You do assume that, but it could be like, a James Bond one. Like they always got in lifts and got dropped into Shark Tank. Some of the Bond films, so you got to be careful. But yeah, so I wasn't sure about the personal transporters things. Stamets then on Vulcan. I like the meeting rooms that, you know, I mean, we have meeting rooms at work and they're nice, they're clean, they've got a whiteboard, they've got PCs, but that's about it. You know, some of them have got a view, but the Vulcans have got it worked out. Like, right, we'll have these floating things up in the sky and that's where we'll have us meeting. But then the Vulcans just decide to meditate anyway, which I do like Stamets' reaction to it. And I like the way the Vulcans go straight into it. Like, as soon as he presents the problem, they go, right, and go into a meditation, and that's it.
And he keeps trying to go, no, we understand the problem.
Yeah, it's like, right, I've got all the information I need. I'm going to think we don't need to be sat around talking about it. And obviously, you know, we'll get to it later in the episode, but yeah, we're not going to get very far with this storyline, though we do some interesting stuff with Buck.
Well, I think that's more the reason for this storyline, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's all about, like, you've got to be free from your guilt and everything, and you can't have known it was going to happen. And Buck's still got this thing that he's like, well, you know, I should have known there was something up with the birds. And so, yeah, I think we do get some closure to that this week. There's a cool scene where Tilly disables the dilithium, and then Michael says, right, now you can stay here as bait.
Yeah.
Which I suppose that would put you out of your comfort zone, so...
Yeah, well, she even says I'm out of my comfort zone as bait. And then she starts walking on the edge and going, I'm really out of my comfort zone now.
And then back on Discovery then. Where have they been hiding this really cool bar? Or was this part of the upgrade? Because if it was, we'll have some of that. Like, we've got...
I assume it's part of the upgrades that they've updated all the mess hall and all that. Because, like, Discovery's time will have had more like TOS foot meals, won't it? Where
very basic, won't it? The mess
very
hall.
Basics. And they've obviously got replicators, so you have to assume like they've had upgrades. And we did see them having the party on Discovery.
That's true, actually, yeah. Yeah, we did that time. But, yeah, I like this bar. It's got all the big log fires. And
yeah. Mind you, you don't know how much of it's holograms as well now.
Yeah, that's true. They're probably not real fires, because that probably won't be safe. But I hope they give off heat, though.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't just want a holographic fire that don't feel like a fire. That'd be weird. But Adira's playing darts then, and we've had darts in Star Trek before. You know, obviously O'Brien and Bashir.
Yeah.
And this is one of them ones like we've talked about before, like with the sunglasses in Picard, and everybody said, oh, they're not futuristic enough. But this is what happens when you try and over-design something. A dartboard, I don't think is going to change in the next 900 years.
No,
it is over-designed. You don't need a dartboard with all these shiny lights
I'm trying to think what it was, and they did this with a dartboard, and when you threw it, it had lights flashing and all sorts, and I can't remember which show it was.
DS9, it looked more or less like a traditional dartboard.
No, this was one. No, I don't even think it's in Star Trek. I can't remember what show it's in, but it literally had lights all over and flashing every time you.
Yeah, I just don't think you need it. I think a dartboard has been designed to perfection as it is.
Yeah, it does its job. It does what it's meant to do.
Exactly. I mean, maybe like if you could go up to it and you say, I want to play darts, but you could also say like, I want to do Bully's prize board, and it turns it into like Bullseye, and you get like in one and. Anyone not from the UK,
and that you don't have to do add it up and all that, right? It just automatically adds as you go along.
darts players do that anyway, though, don't they?
I know they do.
With maths, it's incredible. But yeah, anyone who's not familiar with Bullseye, it was a British TV game show where they played darts to win really crap prizes.
Really strange prizes. You'd get two blokes who'd go on who were mates from down the pub.
Yeah.
And they'd win a fitted kitchen.
Yeah, and it's like...
it's like, how are you splitting that between two houses?
Yeah, like they never said you get two of them. And it was like, if they won at the end, the special prize were like a speedboat. So it's like, how are you going to share this?
It was speedboat, a car, a fitted kitchen, and a caravan.
Yeah, they were always, or sometimes they conned you and they just said, oh, it's a weekend in Torquay or whatever. But
no, they were normally on the Bullies prize board, things like that.
Maybe. So yes, if you're not familiar with Bullseye, look it up. There's loads on YouTube. You probably only need to watch one to get an idea. You know, you
watch the early ones.
Yeah, the early ones that were
yeah.
Also, a trigger warning for anyone. This was broadcast when British TV was not very politically correct. So Jim Bowen. I think Jim Bowen had probably been cancelled if he was, on TV now.
It wouldn't be allowed on TV now.
No, indeed. So, yeah, there's some interesting things if you look at Bullseye. But the point is, if you could make your normal dartboard into a Bullseye dartboard, that'd be pretty cool. Other than that, you can just leave it as a normal one.
Yeah.
That'd be the problem. And while they're in this bar, then, Saru and Culber have a bit of a chat. We find out officially that Culber is the doctor and the counsellor, which we've seen him be that, but it's nice to get an official acknowledgement that he is doing dual roles now. And Saru, since he's come back on the ship, he seems to have just got these nice little quiet moments with just about all the characters, and it really does feel like he's been the missing piece on the ship. I don't know how they managed without him, because he's just come on and he's putting everybody at ease, and he's just putting out fires all over the place. I love how they're using Saru this season so far. Back on the alien ship / moon then. So this is where they use the transporters and they use it to beam in and get the jump on Giovanni.
Exactly. Giovanni takes the bait and goes after Tilly. Yeah. And I like Tilly here, and she goes, and immediately she throws the sword down and goes, I choose to live, I choose to live, I choose to live.
That's what I'd do if I saw the co-op.
Yeah, making it very clear.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do get the backstory then. So basically there's, I'll see if I've got all this right, but I think I have. So this was an alien species that escaped the destruction of their own planet on this ship that looks
it is a moon.
Yeah.
It is actually a moon that they've turned into a ship.
Yeah. So they escaped from the planet. They're going to like a stasis. They've got coordinates set for this world that they're heading to.
Well, the world that they actually in orbit around.
Yeah, actually there, yeah. But something's gone wrong, so they've not woken up. And Giovanni wanted to steal the dilithium just in case the anomaly came, so that they could power the ship to get away from it if they needed to. So
and grave robbers have been attacking them, and that's why she's looking at them as the lost cause or a hopeless cause. Because in stasis, grave robbers are literally going in and killing them to nick the bodies, because they got lots of latinum in the bodies.
Yeah, that's a really nice touch that they have natural latinum in the bodies.
Yeah.
Which, that people would. It's probably Ferengi grave robbers.
Yeah. But that's a lost cause, which she's defending thousands of them. And they go, until he goes, but the Federation's giving away dilithium, and she goes, yeah, but they won't give it to individuals.
Yeah,
and I can't say what I need it for.
Yeah, they've worked out whether you agree with how extreme she goes with it or not.
Well, this is to do with her religion, though, isn't it? Why she's gone that extreme, and that's how they are.
Yeah, that's it. Once they've pledged themselves, then they go for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it does hold. It is solid, and motivation and everything as to why she does it. And I like Tilly here. Like, she's meant to be fixing it, but she obviously knows that she needs to buy Michael time and everything. So she's clearly working more slowly than she needs to get the dilithium working again, because Michael thinks she can fix the cryo chambers so that they can actually.
Well, that's it. Yeah, like Michael works out that, well, if they've arrived at the destination, why haven't they woke up? Something has gone wrong.
Yeah. And it's really good, because obviously Tilly's not given an order to drag this out a bit so I can get on with it. But he knows to do it. So it's good teamwork. And back on Nivar, I keep wanting to call Nivar Vulcan. That's going to take a long time to get used to not doing that. Back on Nivar then, I wonder about this president's motivation here, because basically they say it's not a wormhole because we can't find any tachyons. And then the president says, oh, but if we have a look at Book's memory, we'll be able to check, see if there's this discoloration. And I think she's doing this entirely for Book's benefit. Like,
I do.
I don't think she needs to do it.
No, but it's like, this goes back to one of the things that has been long established with Vulcans. Vulcans are emotionless, which is something people assume a lot of the time. It's just to suppress the emotions, but she can understand why, because they're actually a very emotional race. So she can really understand what it's like for an empath and what he's been through.
Yeah, that's it as well.
She can relate to it.
Yeah, there's that link with him being an empath as well. I often forget Buck's an empath, but yeah, so basically we're going to do a mind meld. The cover story is that we're doing it to look for this tin.
Blue. You get a blue tinge with tachyon radiation, or whatever the radiation they call from tachyons.
Yeah, but really it's to let Buck sort of work through his trauma. And this I've got mixed feelings on, because I think it emotionally lands. Like, I'm absolutely happy with it. But maybe it's my not understanding mind melds fully. But if he's reliving his memory, he'll only remember what he could see at the time. So if he didn't see his nephew looking back at him, he won't be able to see it by reliving the memory.
Yeah, it will, because what she says is that everything going round you, you don't take every single bit in, but your memory holds it all.
Right, I get it.
It's all in your memory, but it's like everything you're seeing at once. There's so much that you're seeing at once. You don't register everything.
Not a certain part of it. Yeah, I thought that was probably what it was. I didn't realise that she'd touched on that.
Yeah.
Must have missed that. So, no, I'm happy with that then now. So, yeah, that's good.
And it does make sense that, right, we can go in and it's like, I can look across my room and there's X, Y, and Z there.
Yeah.
But I can't take in everything. But one picture, if you studied it for ages, you could go, oh, there's that, and there's that, and there's.
Right. So, yeah, it's sort of accessing a bit of his unconscious memory that he's picked up on, but not really articulated. Yeah. Then, one thing about the pacing of this episode is I think maybe they wrap up the main story a bit early because they fix the ship. It's all good. The aliens got the planet, and it's another lovely effect with Tilly and Michael watching them and everything. But then there's a fair chunk of the episode that comes after that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It just feels a little bit like the main story's finished, but we've got a lot of epilogues, like the Return of the King, where we keep getting the end. It's not as long as that. I mean, this whole episode isn't as long as the epilogues in the Return of the King. But, so to unpick them a little bit, then there's this thing we get it sort of explicitly spelled out with Tilly now, where she says you talked about the path that you meant to be on. And Gabrielle sort of talks to her about it and says, well, the thing is, all your paths end, but you start another path and you do something else, and it can be the same path or it can be a different path. And this is what makes me think maybe Tilly is going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Maybe she's thinking, well, my Starfleet path hasn't led me where I thought it would. So
yeah, and I'm not doing what I want to do.
Yeah, so maybe I'm interested in seeing where it all goes. And there's a nice moment between Michael and Gabrielle.
The thing is, I just want to go back to that a minute.
Yeah.
Like, if Tilly does leave to do something else, I don't want a repeat of what we've got with Saru. Saru left to do something else and he's come back. And it works as that. But I don't want where we're going to have characters, I want to leave. But then they're going to come back and they're still going to be there because that's you can do it once with Saru, but if you do it again, it's going to be well. What's the point? Why write them leaving for a new journey if they're going to be there all the time? Saru's makes sense.
And this was one of the big problems with Michael's arc last season is that in the early episodes, they sort of got her to this place where there's that episode that finishes where she gets a bollocking from Admiral Silver Daddy Bear and she gets demoted, and it finishes with her taking the comm badge off as though she's going to leave Starfleet. And we had a big chat about, I wonder what this is going to mean. And, is she going to leave? And so it almost feels like they've picked up on a little bit of a strand of that story and gone, right, Michael's not the character to do that with because we want her to be the captain. Maybe we can do something similar with Tilly. I don't know. It seems like all the dropped plot threads, like the PTSD
why didn't we look into that properly? Which we thought we were going to get last year.
It kind of been teased that Michael might leave Starfleet. It feels like they've gone, we dropped these threads. Why don't we do them with Tilly instead? And we'll see if they pull it off. Hopefully.
As I say, I have no problem I like Tilly as a character, but if they can do the story well, where she wants to leave Starfleet and pursue something else, I have no problem with that. As long as they don't then come up with an excuse why she's in nearly every episode.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be...
Because it defeats the whole point.
Yeah, if you're going to do it, you could have her as like a sort of semi-regular guest character.
Yeah.
And, when the mission leads them to whatever Tilly's doing, you can...
Yeah, but not have them in all the time.
Yeah.
How they've done it with Saru. Saru works.
Yeah. Or do a spin-off of Tilly training to join the Coat Milat. If that's what we want to do, that we'd be up for that. But
go the Marvel route and give us a six episode miniseries.
Yeah, Tilly joins the Warrior Nuns. We'll see. And then the sort of payoff of it all then is we're getting into this thing of, well, can we trust Nivar to deal with Javinik?
Well, we've also got the revelation with Book, where Book finds his peace in his memories when he sees his nephew. Yeah. And it's something that he hadn't noticed at the time because he'd literally turned round as his nephew's walking away. Mm-hmm. And it's something he glanced in the corner of his eye, but from his subconscious memories, is being able to see that light of his nephew, so he knows how much he loved him.
Yeah.
And it's something that he hadn't seen before, and he found peace from it.
Yeah, do you think this is sort of the end of this little bit with Buck now, then?
I don't think you can just get over it, but I think this is getting past his brooding.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've probably taken that as far as...
Yeah, I don't think they're going to drag it out all season where he's going to be brooding about it. They've given him, very quickly, they've given him something that's lifted his spirits.
Yeah. Yeah. And
which I'm fine with.
Yeah, we can always revisit it later on. Like, you could always have a thing where if the anomaly's heading to another planet, you could have Buck like, I am not going to let it happen to another planet or something.
Yeah.
Like, you can bring this back, but yeah, I'm glad we're not just going to have him brooding constantly. So that's okay. The politics of it then. So Michael's like, well, are they going to deal with Giovanni properly? Is she going to be suitably punished for what she's done?
Yeah, like Michael goes, I want to mention extenuating circumstances before you sentence her. Because Michael sees that she's done it for, in her eyes, all the right reasons. Yeah. But she's still killed somebody.
Yeah, but it's taken out of Starfleet's hands and out of Michael's hands. And I think this dynamic's really fascinating. Like, you get Admiral Silver Daddy Bear talking about it's like an orchestra and you do your part and I do my part. And
yeah, you're the violin that has its little solo. You go for do solo. I'm the percussion that's behind everything.
Yeah.
And the president's the conductor, telling us all what to do and knowing everybody's bit in it.
Well, that's it, and it all works as a metaphor. Though he does raise the point, like, we've got to trust that she knows the whole melody, and
yeah,
I wonder if that's something that's going to come in later on. Like, maybe she doesn't know the whole melody. Maybe she's not getting it right.
Yeah, like you can see from a political reason why she's let Navarre deal with her themselves, but you can see why Michael's annoyed about it.
Yeah, and I think this is part of Michael's learning curve as well, that she's learning that as a Starfleet captain, your authority stops at a certain point.
Well, it's all coming back to, it's very much Worf of Khan, isn't it? And I don't mean the story of Worf of Khan, I mean like the underlying elements, like you've had the Kobayashi Maru, when you're in a no-win situation. You've now got the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one.
True.
it's them little lessons of Star Trek that we've all come to. Like, I know that Kirk breaks that and he goes, the needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many win for Star Trek 4. And that's perfectly fine because it's one of the great Star Trek movies.
Yeah, I'd go with that. But yeah, it's interesting to come at it from a different angle, to have a young captain who's learning these things. I know Kirk was young in the original series, but he was very much presented as the total package by that point. He
already knew what he was doing. He was a young captain, but he was an exceptional captain.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's interesting to have a different dynamic here of a captain learning these lessons and becoming a great captain as they go along.
Like Michael's right. She goes, he had a partner that had 2 children.
Yeah.
What about them? Yes, but if Navan rejoined the Federation, it could save millions. Yeah,
that's it. It's Michael can only weigh up.
Michael's looking at One Piece, and it's like Admiral Daddy Bear has said. It's the whole picture that the president's looking at.
And I find that really interesting. It'll be interesting to see where we go. And then Gray wakes up as well. So this is that part of the plot's done. And that's really lovely. Like, he gives Culber a hug and everything. And it's all looking okay at this point. I've still got this nasty feeling that this is leading to heartbreak. Like,
oh, definitely.
I feel like Grey's going to want to go back to Trill and be a Guardian, and Adira's going to want to stay on Discovery, and yeah, I don't know. I just
I have no problem with that. If like they were brought in season 3, and like if you look at Discovery, they brought in people in season 2, and they're in for a season. There's people used in season 1, and they were there for a season.
Yeah,
these guys are in the second season that they've been brought in.
Yeah, I mean, I think Adira's going to stay, but
Adira's become part of the crew,
and pointedly, Blue Del Barrio's on the opening credits now, whereas Ian Alexander's only getting a guest star credit.
Yeah,
so I don't know how much I want to read into that, but
and it's another one of these things that he could that. And it keeps getting mentions. He wants to be a Guardian.
Yeah.
He wants to be a Guardian, and he have to live on Trill for that. But there's no reason that even if he leaves the show at some point this season, which is the heartbreak that we think is going to come, that he can't appear again as a guest star. That they have missions to Trill and things.
Absolutely not. No. So, but it's interesting. I want to see him explore a little bit more now that. Well, you've got two things going on. So you've got Grey's now in a body, but Grey no longer has the symbiont. So Grey's not exactly the person that he was before. And Adira's still got the symbiont, but that symbiont no longer has Grey in it because they've
the symbiont has let the memories of Grey go.
So for Adira, it's different as well, and I'd like to see them explore that a little bit.
Yeah.
More well, and another idea is up until this point, Grey's been entirely Adira's been Grey's only conduit to the world to be able to speak to other people, to interact with other people to some extent. And Adira's had Grey all to themselves. And now they're not going to have that because Grey's left the consciousness and got his own body. So,
like, Adira's used to him being there all the time, but is Grey going to want to be with her all the time?
That's it. Like,
he's going to want to be able, like, through her, he's seen all these people and what's going on. He's going to want to get to know these people himself.
Yeah, that's it. So I'll be interested to see where they go with it. I hope that we do dive into these things because the Trill is such an interesting race.
Yeah.
I think this is a really unique situation that they've set up.
Like, we got quite a lot of Trill mythology from DS9, but there's a lot that we didn't get.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, this is an interesting storyline. I want to see where it goes, but I think it's
I'm quite happy if he goes back to Trill as a Guardian, because it'd be nice to maybe get a couple of flashes when he's left Discovery of just how he's doing as well, so we can learn these bits of things about how Trill works.
Yeah, there's definitely stories to be told there, and like we've said a million times, like, because we've got Star Trek on a streaming service now, which I know we've had our pros and cons with that recently, particularly the international distribution, but there is absolutely nothing to stop you. If Grey goes off to be a Guardian, there is absolutely nothing to stop you doing a 1 hour special that's not part of any other series. It's just a one-off, Grey being a Guardian on Trill.
Yeah.
You just do it. It's a TV movie or it's a one episode.
It's like I said, if Tilly goes off to Navarre and becomes, how do you pronounce it?
Quackmalar, I think.
Quackmalar. There's no reason you can't do a 6-episode miniseries that's standalone on that.
Yeah. So
because, like Marvel is showing that you can do that with what they're doing on TV at the moment.
Exactly. And, you know, where you'd be a fool to think that Alex Kurtzman has not got his eye on what Marvel are doing.
Yeah.
because Marvel is the blueprint for a successful cinematic universe. Just about every other one's gone belly up.
Yeah.
And there's no way people are not looking at that and going, okay, that thing works.
This is how you do it, and this is how you stream it as well.
Yeah, let's have
this
a look
is how you have your TV shows that go. You don't have to be just tied into.
No, exactly. So lots of interesting stuff hopefully to come up. We'll obviously be back next week to talk about next week's episode. If you do want to get in touch with us, we're at retrekpod@gmail.com. We're at retrekpod on Twitter. We're retrekpod@gmail.com. If you want to email us, you can join us on the Facebook group. And don't forget, Discovery, 9 o'clock, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays on Pluto TV. If you're not in America, if you're in America, well, you know, you've got your Paramount Plus. The rest of the world, TBD 2020. Maybe we'll catch up with you at some point. But,
we'll get it next year-ish, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. But thanks for trekking with us this time. We'll see you next time on the Retrek.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Fascinating.
Oh, there we go. Bonus content.